Everybody, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, friends, fans, patient spouses and partners who have been listening to our writing for a while. Thanks for coming out tonight. Don't we all love to read out loud, or to be read to out loud? You know, when we're small, and we're reading out loud for the first time, and it's Dick and Jane for some of us, and it's stand up, Ronnie, in first grade, and see what you can read. Get through a paragraph. And we read to each other when we have children, and when we read to each other when we're old, or when we know somebody who is old. It's a way for us to care for each other, to read. Reading out loud is important to the way that these writers create tonight. It's literally a part of what they do. They come together at a table. Sometimes they scarcely know each other. They sit down and they write together, and as soon as they write together, when they're finished, they read it out loud. It's amazing. I'm proud of every one of you. You're fearless, really. Everybody here tonight, by definition, then, is an experienced reader. You've read your stuff when it's freshest, when it's newest, when it's most tender. So you should know, if you're stepping up here for the first time to talk to somebody about your writing, be sure and include your apron strings. We have a tradition in the Writer's Workshop of being able to say a little bit about what we're about to read, like, I don't know where this came from, or don't ask me why I was writing about this, I meant to write about that, or I really liked the way this worked. When I was at a conference for writers in Iowa, we had a reading night like this, and a few of the poets got up. And I mean, the poets are kind of like the special sauce. They're, you know, the Jimmy's on the top of the ice cream cone. And one of them came out and he said, our instructor told us we were supposed to say this before we read. He said, tell them, this is fresh, but it smacks of genius. And I'm like, yeah, the poets have all the fun. The pieces that you're going to hear tonight began as exercises and as prompts. Things that surprised the writers, and they just dug in and made something out of it. And then afterwards, when they'd enjoyed hearing what it was that was special in that very night, they all took them home, and they did the good work that artists and writers do, and they made them sing louder. It brought more richness to them. And that is what makes the difference between writing and being an author. To be able to go home, sit there, look at it again, and make it everything that you intended for it to be. We tell them when they write in our workshops, you have a prompt, you have an exercise, but just write whatever comes. Write whatever comes is the bedrock that all of these writers and authors sink into in order to feel comfortable making a story, a little prose, a bit of a poem, out of nothing but their imagination. So we have a great show for you tonight. Breathe it in and enjoy. And if you're reading, don't forget to breathe. It's a good idea to just remember you know the words. And read as slow as you dare, because we want to hear every one. I want to thank Malvern Books, our wonderful hosts. Fabulous bookstore, so unique stuff on the shelves, hard to find in other places, and you wonder why it's hard to find when you see it here. Terrific bookstore, what a resource and what a gem. Of course, this is the debut of Small Packages, and it'll be for sale. You can see by its cover, it's already gift wrapped, so if you'd like to make sure that somebody knows what it is that you're creating that's special, feel free to buy a copy too. We'll be donating part of the proceeds tonight to the Austin Bat Cave School Literacy Program. I started to volunteer there this fall. It's absolutely awesome to be in a 4th grade language arts class, showing them how to make superheroes. Just an awful lot of fun. So without any further ado, let me introduce as our first reader, Holly Lorka.
Hi, this is great. I have to start by saying that I met Ron about 4 years ago on a whim. I'd been a stand-up comedian for a number of years, and I just really got tired of writing and telling bullshit. And so I always wanted to be a writer, never a stand-up comedian, so I found his workshop and showed up just to see what would happen. And all these weird and magical things started to happen. And this was the beginning of one of them. I'm going to read for you right now. It's called How We Built Things When We Were Children. When I was 8, we used to play in my mother's garden. We made roads by dragging our fingers through the dirt in giant circles around the geraniums, the onions. Our matchbox cars would power around and over jumps on their way to Nashville or wherever the Dukes of Hazzard lived. Vroom noises and crashes where there were no victims except the occasional unlucky spider. We made houses out of cardboard that Dad had in the garage. The old Pall Mall boxes would wilt down in the wet soil. The popsicle stick roofs would tip off in the wind, but we didn't care. This is how we built things when we were children. There was no permanent tragedy, nothing that couldn't be refashioned under the geraniums tomorrow. When I was 41, I bought a pocket knife. It came nestled in a plastic clamshell wrapper, and I cut myself using another knife to get it out before I even had a chance to whittle or skin a squirrel. Once I opened the blade with its slick danger smile glinting in the backyard sunlight, I discovered that these knives can only be closed by pushing a lever with a thumb to bring the blade down for a direct hit upon this thumb. When I was 41, I went to the emergency room for 5 stitches. When I was 8, home plate was a worn place in the grass where only the dirt showed through. First base was the pyracantha bush that grew berries in the summer and would catch your shirt with its thorny branches if you did more than brush by it with an open hand. Second base was the birch tree, the one that was missing most of its paper skin around the middle, where we grabbed for desperate tags for safety. Third base was a glove or a hat. We all hated third base because it moved. Third base was fickle, but it could take a good slide. This is how we built things when we were children, in our backyards with what we had, with rules that were understood. When I was 42, I wanted to play horseshoes in my backyard, so I spent $114 on supplies. Spilled 50 pounds of sand in the back of my Hyundai, and hit my thumb while driving one of the stakes into the perfectly measured and squared pits. During my first match, when things were really heating up to a score of 9-0, not in my favor, I threw a red horseshoe, it hit my perfectly squared frame, and cracked right in half. When I was 8, my sister and brother and I colored with crayons. Dad brought us home reams of heavy white paper from his job, and we sat at the kitchen table while designing our masterpieces. Landscapes or cars or hot air balloons, all filled with happy people and sunshine and butterflies. Even the car pictures had butterflies. Because this is how we built things when we were children, out of purple and burnt sienna and gold and silver, out of sunshine and forever smiles. When I was 43, I learned how to cry in the shower. I learned to sit down and let the water beat hot upon my head and mix with the snot and the other things coming out of me to travel down the drain to Nashville or wherever the Dukes of Hazzard lived. I learned to get loud and sloppy, secure in the knowledge that only the cat could hear me, and his already low opinion of me mattered little. I learned that honoring sadness is a gift. The universe has linked sadness to joy, and to cut off one is to deprive yourself of the other. That universe is a fucker, and also invented hangovers, if that's any clue as to how mathematically clever it is. When I was 43, I sat down in my shower on a Sunday and cried until my fingers puckered and my skin was steamy red hot. Then I got out, dried off, stuck my tongue out at my cat, and went about the rest of my day. That afternoon, my neighbor decided to wash her car with her kids and invited me over to hang out and drink pink wine with her. For the record, I don't think pink wine is ever the right thing to do. Unless you're my dad, who drinks it over ice and does not give a shit. But I walked down there anyway. There they were, kind of washing the car. We'll call it more of an approximation. Mostly they were spraying water at things not anywhere near the car, like some bugs and that one tree over there. Then Mom took the hose and sprayed the kids, who squealed and giggled and ran away and came back for more. And water ran into little 2-year-old Zoe Plum's green, happy-faced galoshes, so that when she bounced around, they made this beautiful wet squike, squike on the inside sound, which only further amused everyone. And there it was. Joy. Beautiful, unfettered joy that arrived unannounced and cupped us all in its capable hands and held us there for just the shiniest minute. When I was 43, I learned that while the universe is a fucker, it is a fair fucker.